Hi guys, so in today's video I'm going to be talking to you about what is a Google Ads audit. So a Google Ads audit is basically the process that you go through to determine the effectiveness of your Google Ads campaign. So conducting an audit can highlight where you might be burning your budget unnecessarily, but it could also highlight strengths within your campaign, with your Google Ads campaign, so that you can then capitalize on those strengths and invest more into it. It can also highlight various other things such as weaknesses, which parts of your Google Ads account you can sort of fine tune in order to help it work that much more better. And don't forget, every part of your Google Ads campaign that you optimize, whether it's at settings level or keywords or campaigns, you're getting a micro gain, and those gains sort of add up towards a much bigger, healthier percentage, giving you, a better, much solid Google Ads account performance. So what I'm going to be talking you through is 10 steps of how to conduct a very simple Google Ads audit. I'm not going to be going into any sort of great detail. So, the other question is that how often should you really conduct a Google Ads audit? And, it really depends on the size of the account, really. There is no fixed sum to say, you must conduct it every day, every week, every month, or so on. It really depends on how many changes you're making and how big your account is, how much you're spending, and so on. But generally, what I say is that at least conduct an audit at least once a month, because we get caught up in our day-to-day optimizations, adding campaigns, looking at negative keywords and so on. But we don't often step back and say, you know what, okay, I've done all these changes, now let me do an audit just to see how the account is performing. The first thing I would recommend is looking at your goals. Look at your goals and your tracking to make sure this has been set up properly. Because there's no point implementing a Google Ads campaign or trying to optimize your Google Ads campaign if your tracking isn't working, if your goals are not set up properly. So you can really easily do this. Here, let's just jump into here. So if you're within your account, you can click on Tools over here, and you can click on Conversions. And here you will see what goals you've got configured. They'll be listed on the left hand side, and towards the right hand side you'll see how many conversions you're getting for each goal. So it's really important that your tracking and your goals are set up properly, so then you can accurately measure the performance of your account, your campaigns, your keywords, and so on. My second point is the do's and the don'ts. Don't conduct a Google Ads campaign if you've done loads and loads of changes. So allow the account to stabilize before you start implementing your Google Ads campaign. Now, in Google Ads, once you do a campaign, they generally take about 7 to 14 days for some real data to start accumulating before you can make an accurate assessment as to whether the changes that you've done are working or they're not working. Because you've also got to take seasonality into account. You could be implementing a campaign whereby, simply due to external factors, that week the account may not be performing very well. So give it enough of a date range in order to evaluate that, in order to set yourself so that I'm only going to do an audit once I've got a reasonable amount of data. It's hard to define what a reasonable amount is, but I'd say a month is quite reasonable as a starting point. Also, when conducting a Google Ads audit, don't use too much of a granular date range. So don't just only look at the last 7 days or the last 10 days or whatever. And if you do look at a short window, then compare it to the previous period. So what I'd say that use a reasonable date range, so you've got kind of a bit of a nice flow of data. So a month, 2 months, or 3 months worth of data. And that really does take seasonality into account as well, and external factors, demands, and so on. Number 3, your account structure. So take a look to make sure your account is logically structured. And so whether you've got the right campaign set up, and with the right campaigns you've got your ad groups are themed accordingly, because the sorts of things that you want to take into account is, have you got some products or services whereby you might want to allocate a lot of budget to some of them because they're your prime products or services, and less of a budget towards other products or services whereby you're not so much bothered about pushing them forward. So that in itself may warrant those product services to be put inside a campaign of its own. Likewise, if you've got campaigns whereby you're using geography, so using locations, that's another sensible move to say, hey, these products or services need to be in campaigns of its own, so then I can really control what location these products or services are marketed towards. We then go into campaign structure. So to get into a campaign structure here, so I've got a campaign loaded in front of me. So what you really do is go into one of your campaigns, click on the campaign and click again. And then click on settings here. And the types of things that you want to look for is firstly the locations here. Are you targeting the right locations? These are locations that we're targeting, but equally you can have locations where you really want to exclude them. So that's one thing to look out for. Look at your location options. Yeah, so whether you want to target the recommended setting, which is presence or interests, people regularly in, or whom shown an interest in your targeted locations. I normally go for this option here, which is people in or regularly in your target location. So it's just giving me a bit more granular control in terms of where I'm looking for, where people can actually find my ads really. Yeah. Look at your budget. So make sure that your budget is as it should be. Then you can go inside your advanced settings and look at your language setting, your budget, what your budget is, and also more importantly your bidding. What type of bidding strategy are you using? So in this case we're using a target CPA bidding strategy. Now as long as you've got enough data, you want to check whether is that really the right bidding strategy that you should use, or should you be using a different type of bidding strategy. And then your ad rotation settings. So then in this case we've got to optimize prefer best ad performing ads, but you might even decide that depending on the bid strategy that you use, you might even decide that you're going to choose the option of not to optimize or rotate indefinitely. So these are the sort of main types of things that you want to check at a sort of campaign level. But the other thing that you really want to check for is your network settings here, to make sure that by default you'll probably find that your Google search partners and your display network are enabled by default. Now I normally leave the search partners ticked, but I think it's absolutely imperative that the include Google display network is turned off. That you really don't want to be mixing your search data with your display data, because with Google display you find that you're getting a lot of clicks and very few conversions. So if you do want to implement a Google display campaign, which do work, but what I'd suggest is have it as a separate campaign, so you've got full control over its settings, its bids, and how much you're spending, and so on. The next thing you want to check for are your ad groups. So make sure your ad groups are logically grouped up. So you've got your campaigns, and under your campaigns you've got several ad groups. So make sure your ad groups are logically grouped up so that they are tightly themed as much as possible. And what I always recommend is per ad group have in the region of 10, maximum 20 keywords, and all the keywords should be highly relevant to that ad group only, because if you do that you can then make sure that your ad is highly relevant to your ad group, which is highly relevant to the campaign, so you're carrying that theme across really. And at the same time it's worthwhile checking that are there any keywords within the ad group that are skewing the data. So you could have one really good performing keyword which could make the whole ad group look good, or you could have like several keywords which are really poorly performing. So is it best to keep them in the ad group, or do you take other action? Your keywords. So let's go into it. Let's take a look at one of our campaigns and take a look at the keywords. So that if you click on search keywords here, you'll see all the keywords that are listed, and you'll be able to see various metrics like how many conversions that they've delivered, what the cost per conversion is, how many phone calls you've had, if any, and the overall cost, the impressions, and so on. Yeah. So what you want to see here is that what keywords are performing and which ones are not performing. So if you get keywords here which are not performing, so in this case you've got some great keywords here where this one's brought 88 conversions, so it's a great keyword. But if you find that there are keywords within your ad group that are not performing, then it's best to probably either take appropriate action like pause those keywords, or see why they're not converting, or even put them into separate ad groups. So you want to keep your keywords, your ad groups as tightly themed with high converting keywords as much as possible, and try to get rid of keywords which are totally not converting. And at the same time, when looking at keywords, you don't want to just look at the keywords, but look at your search terms as well to see what sort of search terms these keywords are driving you. And then you can use those search terms to put within your negative keywords. So you can have keywords, if you find that your search terms are triggering, if your keywords are triggering search terms which are not performing or are not relevant to your business, then you can add them in as a negative keyword. You also want to take a look at your quality score of keywords as well. So you can have a column here called quality score, and your quality score will give you quality score per keyword. And those keywords that are lower in terms of quality score, you might like to take a look to see why they are low in terms of their quality score, and do I really want to keep them? Because obviously the lower your quality score, the more you will pay per click for those particular keywords. Take a look at your ads. So it's really important, because your ads are the first thing that your potential customers are going to take a look at in order to make their decision as to whether they want to click on your ad to visit your website, or whether they want to click on one of your competitors' ads. So looking at ads, take a look at what ads you have. I always recommend have 1 responsive ad and 2 expanded text ads. So have a maximum of 3 ads per ad group. Then the types of things that you want to look at, obviously you want to look at your copy to make sure that all the fields have been populated from your headline to your descriptions. But you also want to look at, more importantly, which ads are converting, which ads are not converting. So over here, you can see that this particular ad over here has delivered 43 conversions, whereas this ad over here is driving no conversions at all. So even though it's cost like £38. So one move that you could take is to pause this ad, which gives the performing ads more of an opportunity to get served, so therefore you're likely to get better conversions. And remember, the better your ad copy, the better the click-through rate you're going to get. And the click-through rate is one of the core metrics that Google will use in order to determine your quality score. So it is really important you have really good ad copy. Look at your extensions. So you've got various extensions, such as you've got your site links, you've got your call extensions, you've got your location extensions, you've got your call out extensions, you've got your pricing extensions. Take a look at these extensions. Like, for example, if you take a look at your site links, take a look at which of your site links are converting and which ones are not converting. And those that are converting, invest more into them and capitalize on them. And those that are not converting, try switching them around. Put different site links in them to see if you can get other site links that are going to work better, or even improve the ad copy that the users see when they see your site links. Look at your device performance. So you got your mobile, you got your tablet, you got your desktop. So it's really important that you take a look at your device performance at campaign level, or if not ad group level, to see how they're performing. And then you can use bid adjustment in order to give more weight to the devices that are performing and less weight to the ones that are not performing. Finally, look at your landing pages. So it's absolutely imperative that people are taken to a landing page which is tightly themed with what they've typed into the search engine in the first place. So what you don't want people to do is go onto your website, and then having to find what product or service that they're looking for, because the chances are they'll just move away. If they can't find that information quickly, they will move away, and you're losing business. So whatever your keywords are, make sure your keywords are tightly themed with your ad groups, with your ads and your landing pages. And when you come onto your landing pages, just make sure you've got good, clear, concise information, clearly displayed, as well as really good call to action points, so that the users know exactly what they can do if they're interested in your products or services. Hey, by the way guys, if you've got any comments about how you conduct your Google Ads audit, put your comments below. I'd love to hear from you. So that's it guys. This was a very basic high-level audit within our agency. When we do Google Ads audit, we go into far more detail than what I've shown you today. But if you have got any comments, please put them in the comments box below. Or if you'd like to share any data in terms of what works for you when conducting an audit, tell me about it. It'd be great to hear from you. Whilst at it, feel free to download my Google Ads ebook, which you can get by visiting ppcebook.com. And with my Google Ads ebook, it will show you how to create a great Google Ads campaign right from day one, so you can start getting conversions at a very early stage within your account going live. Take care guys, and hope to see you soon.